An update to a missing persons case this morning. Minneapolis police say a 13-year-old girl who disappeared from her North Minneapolis neighborhood Sunday has been found safe. No details were released on where or how she was tracked down. Police had asked for the public's help to find her because they believed she might have been in danger.
Trending this morning on our KARE 11 Facebook page, Governor Walz's first State of the State address. His message to lawmakers: lead the way to make a better life for Minnesotans and show America that a divided legislature can get things done.
Ellery McCardle is live at the Capitol this morning. Ellery, what else did the governor say?
Yeah, well, guys, in terms of the budget, the governor is really reiterating to lawmakers to think about the real people, you and I, because we are the ones who are affected by all the debates and the policy changes here at the Capitol. So he's also reminding lawmakers to listen to those people who voted them into office. And he reinforced that last night through his message by inviting real people to his speech last night when he talked about topics like transportation, education, and health care. Governor Walz says Minnesota can be the example for the rest of the country in creating unity in government and getting things done.
It's not a game. It's not numbers. Local school boards have informed us about the decisions they need. I'm asking, and when we put a budget together, yes, it's a fiscal document, but it's a moral document.
Now, the head of Minnesota's Republican Party sent a statement responding to the governor's speech, saying she hopes Governor Walz, quote, will work with Republicans on legislation that will better the future stories of all Minnesotans, not just those who voted for him. Now, as mentioned, the lawmakers have until the end of next month to pass a balanced budget, or else there's a government shutdown. So hopefully last night's speech from the governor kind of sparked even more motivation in them to find some common ground. Guys,
it's going to be a busy month. Let's hope they come to something. Thanks a lot for that, Ellery.
Well, today at the Capitol, protesters plan to meet as part of a national push to demand a quick release of the Mueller report. Attorney General Barr says he will release a redacted version later this month. That's not enough for many lawmakers. Just yesterday, the Democrat-run House Judiciary Committee voted to authorize a subpoena for an unredacted version, along with all the evidence from the Russia investigation.
Here's your local morning rush. Jury selection in the Mohammed Noor trial could wrap up as early as today. Noor is a former Minneapolis police officer charged in the shooting death of Justine Damon. 16 potential jurors have been eliminated so far, some because they said they had already made up their minds about the high-profile case. A man who works for Plymouth Elementary School who's accused of exposing himself to students will make his first court appearance today. Matthew Bowers faces charges of criminal sexual conduct and indecent exposure. Police say the after-school assistant exposed himself to 3 girls on the playground outside of Gleason Lake Elementary late last month. The girls also told their parents Bowers exposed himself in the school library last year. The Wayzata School District says he was placed on leave immediately after parents filed complaints. Dozens of drivers in Woodbury who had their cars towed may be in for a full refund. Woodbury 10 movie theater is apologizing, saying a miscommunication with a tow company is to blame for dozens of cars being wrongly removed from a park and ride lot. Metro Transit shares the lot with the Woodbury 10 movie theater, but the theater spots are clearly marked and none of the towed cars were parked there. The theater says it's working with the tow company now on those refunds.
A new national campaign called Truth About Tech is hoping to help parents realize the influence technology is having on children. The campaign raises awareness about digital addiction and provides a roadmap of solutions. This comes as federal lawmakers announce new legislation to protect children from the dangers of the internet. What's being dubbed as the Kids Act would end features like autoplay. That tends to keep kids online longer. The bill would also create rules like that regulate algorithms and require companies to give parents guidance on kid-healthy content. Let's head to Sven now for our One Thing weather.
We are looking at a cooler day today, cloudy, temperatures in the 40s. We do have showers on the way for the evening, but still looking at a big weekend warm up, 60 degrees on the way already tomorrow.
We're looking good. Thanks, Sven. As you heard here on Sunrise, Wisconsin-based Shopko is closing all of its stores. As of June 16th, the remaining Shopkos will close, which include a few here in Minnesota. If you have a Shopko near you, you may see a liquidation sale sign, and they're starting to happen. But how much are you actually saving during these so-called going out of business sales? Alicia's been digging into that this morning for us in the Digital Dive.
Yeah, you know, Chris, as most of our Sunrisers know, I'm a sucker for a good sale, and signs that say 80% off, you better believe it's going to get bargain hunters like myself through their doors. But it's actually a common occurrence during liquidation sales where consumers end up paying more. So first, a quick refresher on what liquidation sales are, according to this report I found from Business Insider. So liquidators are outside companies that are hired to get rid of closing stores' remaining inventory. They typically get a percentage of the profits from what they can sell. So of course they want to make some money. So they end up raising prices on the remaining inventory, which they base off the suggested retail price. So something that was once on sale, say at Shopko, may now be back at full price. And Shopko customers are starting to take notice. In fact, the practice of raising a regular price item may be considered fraudulent misrepresentation. That's according to the Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection. But this, for them, it can be tricky to track, especially during a liquidation sale. So what can you do about this? What can the consumer do? Well, first of all, you can check the prices online, compare it to other stores, and see if it fares, and also pay close attention to the final cost of an item versus what the supposed discounted price was. That should help you out as well. Now, with liquidation sales, the smallest discounts come at the beginning of this sale. So if you're looking to score something really big, maybe wait until it gets closer to that closing store date. You might find yourself a pretty good deal.
I say buyer beware all the time, right? Like it's easy to change your price tag. You can like jack it up and then say, hey, we're 80% off.
There you go.
Yeah, save your money.